The Romans had a secret weapon that conquered the world, and it was made from rotting fish guts. What you're looking at isn't wine, isn't honey. It's the most disgusting condiment in history that emperors would literally kill for. Today, our channel is bringing back Rome's forbidden obsession. Picture this. You're at a Roman dinner party. The host brings out the finest delicacies: roasted peacock, honeyed wine, exotic fruits from across the empire. And then they drown everything in what looks like liquid amber, but smells like a fishing boat left in the sun for 3 months. Romans didn't just tolerate this smell, they craved it. They put garum on ice cream. They mixed it with wine. They even used it as medicine. And here's the kicker. It was more expensive than the finest wine. But what exactly was garum? How did rotting fish become Rome's greatest obsession? And why did the empire literally collapse when they couldn't get enough of it? To understand garum, you need to understand that Romans were absolutely obsessed with intense flavors. They didn't have sugar, they didn't have chocolate, they didn't have coffee. What they had was salt, honey, and an unquenchable thirst for anything that would make their food explode with taste. Garum wasn't invented by Romans. That honor goes to the Greeks. But Romans perfected it, industrialized it, and spread it across 3 continents. Archaeological evidence shows garum factories from Britain to Egypt, from Spain to the Black Sea. Roman writer Pliny the Elder called it that exquisite liquid. The cookbook of Apicius mentions garum in over 300 recipes. But here's what'll blow your mind. We actually found intact garum factories in Pompeii, perfectly preserved by volcanic ash. These weren't small operations. We're talking industrial complexes with hundreds of fermentation tanks, each holding thousands of gallons of fermenting fish. This was Rome's first global food industry. Now here's where it gets interesting. Using AI, we can actually recreate what these garum factories looked like, smelled like, even what the workers experienced. Let me show you how we did this. First, we fed the AI every piece of archaeological evidence we could find. Pottery shards from Pompeii, ancient recipes from Apicius, descriptions from Roman writers, even chemical analysis of residues found in amphitheae. What emerged was mind-blowing. These facilities were massive. Some covered several acres. Workers would layer fish entrails with salt in huge stone vats and wait, and wait, and wait. The process took months. Fish guts, salt, sometimes herbs, all fermenting under the Mediterranean sun. The AI helps us visualize what archaeologists could only guess at: the sheer scale, the organization, the industrial precision. And here's something incredible the AI revealed. There were different grades of garum. The cheap stuff for soldiers, made from scraps. The premium version for emperors, made from specific fish caught at specific times. It was like the wine industry, but with rotting fish. Okay, brace yourself. Here's the actual recipe, reconstructed from multiple ancient sources and brought to life by AI. Take the entrails of tuna, mackerel, or anchovies. The bloodier, the better. Mix with coarse sea salt, about 1 part salt to 8 parts fish guts. Some recipes call for herbs like dill or coriander, but the expensive versions? Pure fish and salt. Layer this mixture in stone or ceramic vats. Cover with wooden planks weighted down with stones. Then leave it in the blazing Mediterranean sun for 2 to 3 months. The fish literally dissolves into liquid. What happens next is pure biochemistry. Enzymes break down proteins into amino acids, the same compounds that make modern foods taste umami. It's like natural MSG, but from rotting fish. After months of fermentation, workers would strain the liquid through baskets. The clear, amber liquid that dripped out, that was garum. The chunky remains, that was alec, the cheap version for slaves and soldiers. The smell? Ancient writers described it as penetrating and overwhelming. One Roman poet joked that garum was so strong it could wake the dead, but Romans loved it like we love ketchup. Here's where garum gets absolutely insane. Premium garum cost more per gallon than the finest wine. We're talking about fish sauce that cost more than a soldier's yearly salary. The best garum came from Spain, specifically from tuna caught during spawning season. Roman gourmets could taste the difference between garum made in April versus May. They were fish sauce sommeliers. Garum was so valuable that archaeologists have found amphotheria, those big clay jars, stamped with maker's marks, vintage dates, even quality ratings. Like wine bottles, but for fermented fish guts. Romans put garum on everything: meat, vegetables, fruits, even desserts. They mixed it with wine to make a vinegarum, basically a fish sauce cocktail. They used it as medicine for stomach problems, headaches, even as an aphrodisiac. When Rome fell, garum production collapsed almost overnight. The knowledge was lost for over 1,000 years. It's like if McDonald's disappeared and nobody remembered how to make hamburgers. But here's the plot twist. Garum never really died. It evolved. Vietnamese fish sauce, Thai nam pla, Worcestershire sauce. They're all descendants of Roman garum. Modern food scientists who've analyzed ancient garum residues say it would taste almost identical to high-end Vietnamese nuoc mao. Same fermentation process, same fish, same results. In fact, some modern chefs are recreating authentic garum using ancient recipes. It sells for over $200 a bottle. Turns out, when you remove the rotting fish stigma, people realize Romans were onto something incredible. The umami explosion that made Romans addicted? That's the same flavor profile that makes modern ramen broths, aged cheeses, and dry cured meats irresistible. Romans discovered umami 2,000 years before we had a word for it. So the next time you shake fish sauce onto your pad thai or splash Worcestershire on your steak, remember, you're tasting the ghost of Rome. You're experiencing the same flavor explosion that built an empire. But Romans weren't the only ancient civilization with shocking food obsessions. Tomorrow, we're diving into Viking blood soup. And trust me, it makes garum look like ketchup. Did Vikings really drink blood before battle? The answer will make you question everything you thought you knew about warrior culture. Hit that subscribe button, because this historical food journey is just getting started.